Okay, I start to record. So, okay, welcome everybody again to this webinar. Of course, the main topic is about coaching and coaching applied to Agile coaching discipline. So the topic today is transparency and breaks, and we are going to talk about a coaching conversation design. So I think we are ready to start. In any moment you can interrupt and make questions. It's an open debate. So first step is to say thank you to everybody, because for me it's very important that you're here to share this space and this content. And of course it's very important for me to receive your feedback, to improve and to focus on delivering value to you. So the most important focus for me is to give you value in this presentation. So thanks Ileana for observing, and thanks Mikhail, Joanna and Armand for joining. So about the webinar, we did a sound check before, and we performed the caution that we are going in YouTube with this recording, so if someone don't wants to appear in the video, you can switch off the camera. The duration estimated is 60 minutes, but we can finish in fewer time. Don't be scared. And the first 20 minutes are for transparency. Breaks is the topic today. And of course, you can interrupt and make questions. It's not a problem. Actually, it's very welcome to participate and make questions. Remember that you are mute, so if you want to talk, unmute. And then we will try to explore how to design a coaching conversation. And at the end, 5 minutes feedback. There you can criticize me. Good. So like always, I like to start from the context. I will make a short introduction to coaching. I think that's very important because there is a lot of confusion in the market about what is coaching, and also the discipline has a very confusing name. So many times it's referred to coach like a trainer or like mentoring or some kind of other kind of role, but the coaching that we are speaking in this webinar is about the real coaching process as is understand for the conversation. So I think the best way or the easiest way for you to understand the difference is to compare it with other definitions. So the training is to teach a method. So there is a method, a process, and there is one right way to do it, and some expert can evaluate you how you're doing, if you're doing it right or not, or they can introduce you how to execute the step-by-step of the method. It's like a training in Scrum, in many disciplines that exist in the software industry. So the training is about methods, processes. The consulting discipline is about providing support. The consultant is a person with a big knowledge in the area. He provides you important information for decision making, and is a strongly formed and authorized person in the space. And it's very often that the consultants keep a lot of checklists to control that you are following the plan and you are following the expectations. The other discipline is the mentoring. Mentoring is maybe the most similar to coaching, but the difference with coaching is that it's still the mentor still has some kind of hierarchy or superiority over the apprentice. Then the other big difference in this discipline is that the mentor and the apprentice has a relation. There is a relation between them. Then we enter in the coaching. So the coaching, I think I have, okay, I don't have the Wikipedia definition here, but the coaching is a conversation process where the coach make powerful questions to the coachee and helps the coachee to expand his creativity and motivation in order to overwhelm the challenges and the problems that is getting him stuck. That was a totally personal and subjective definition, but more or less, why do we need coaching in when we are trying to facilitate teams and we're trying to drive change in organizations and we want to create results in the field? So, in my personal opinion, is that the coaching creates is a discipline that creates much more people development. So there is a big difference when people is waiting to receive commands and control than when they need to design their own solutions. When people needs to design their own solutions, they develop a lot of skills and capabilities and self-esteem, and they became more powerful in the day-to-day work, and that develop more self-organized teams and self-organized people. Also, the coaching, in my opinion, this is totally subjective opinion, creates also leadership skills. So what does it mean? So many times leadership and every day more need to have a facilitator model. So the leaders need to be facilitators and not commanders. And to have self-organized teams and self-organized people, you need leadership that can allow that to happen. So in some way, the coaching discipline for a leader, even if he will never do coaching or he will never be a coach, to have the coaching skills can help a leader to be more effective in the way to approach challenges with people and teams. So let's go. I think I'm making this too long. Then another difference that we can talk about coaching is that coaching focus in the future, and that's the difference with therapy and counseling. And of course, the coaching is don't requires knowledge. The knowledge and experience and decisions remains on the coachee side, not in the coach. That's why it's important for leaders. Here you can see the definition in the ICF, International Coach Federation. And I think this definition is quite important. The International Coach Federation is a big organization that dedicates to create standards and ethic codes in the coaching discipline. So they define it like a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires. Okay. Sorry. I think we can start giving context. If there is any question, you can write in the chat. Actually, I will open the chat, and the chat will not appear in the video, and I will not read it, just unless it's really necessary to read. So you can, with total privacy there, you can write any question or interrupt, or you can just start to talk. So once we know what is coaching and what has to do with coaching, the topic today is to talk about transparency and breaks. So this topic is not quite simple. Actually, I presented yesterday and it was not clear enough. But the best way I found to try to understand this is to compare transparency with an autopilot. So we can imagine that we live in autopilot in many days. We perform so many tasks in a daily basis without conscious, so really in automatic mode. And that was the author Esteban Echeverría named transparency. I will give you another metaphor later. So he says that we live in transparency and most of our actions are unconscious, are automatic. And then appears the break. The break, in its definition, could be an interruption of the transparency flow. And in this case, in this picture, we can see a car that is flowing in his driving way, and some unexpected object appears. Then the car flow is interrupted. So that's what we can understand as break. Of course, in some way, the author proposed the break as a word to replace the word problem. But not every problem is a break. And we will watch that a little bit later. So, transparency. Another metaphor I think is good to understand transparency is to think, well, I actually don't know the name of this in English, sorry, the car glass. So when you're driving the car, and you, of course, you have a glass in front of you, but you're watching through it, but you're not conscious. Windshield. Ah, thank you, Mikhail. Windshield. Okay. But you are not conscious that there is a glass there. You're just driving, watching the people, the cars, the semaphores, everything, signs, and you are not all the time conscious that that there is a glass in front of you. It's because when you are driving, you are in some way in automatic mode, and there is a lot of actions that you perform in the car, and that are you repeated so many times that they are totally automatic, and you don't need to think all the time, because that would be really tricky. You are in a completely fluent mode, and this transparency this glass that we are not aware of about, in a moment we can suddenly take conscious about its existence. And for example, when it gets broken. When it gets broken, this glass, we get immediately consciousness of that glass exists there. And that's the break. That's the break. But the break is not necessarily something bad or something broken. The break is a change in reality that makes us conscious that something exists. So until now, everything going good? If not, please write in the chat. If there is any question, you can just talk. Let's go to a paradox. Okay. And I think now you need to talk. So someone can give his opinion, please. If I tell you that in this box there is a problem, what you would expect when I open the box?
Well, I can suggest something. I think that for the moment, I only will think in the present, and we haven't opened it yet. Mm-hmm. Then I think that we wouldn't have to think about nothing that is bad or worse, because we don't know about this problem really. We have to think about only the present moment.
Good. And now imagine that this box was sent by customer, and then the customer complains, say, okay, I will send you the problem in the box, and we receive the box and we open the box. What we could find inside?
Maybe the product in a bad quality, or maybe, I don't know, or maybe some that has broken. Or...
Okay, good. Good. So what do I want to demonstrate with this example is that the word problem for us has a lot of assumptions attached to the word. And then, Michael, I will go to your question in some minutes. The author proposed to use break to refer to a change condition. So many times, not everybody, but in general, we have a negative association of the word problem. And one strategy of this coaching approach is to identify the situations as breaks. But be careful that the idea is not to replace the word problem with break. So the distinction between break and a problem is critical. So not every problem is a break, and not every break is a problem. Now I want to make a parenthesis. Did I answer your question, Arman?
Sorry, I didn't understood this part. Can you repeat, please?
Which part? Can you be specific, please?
This last about the difference between the and a problem.
Break and problem. Okay. Okay. A break, I will go 2 steps before. A break, okay, maybe this is not the best metaphor, but a break is a change condition. So a break don't need to be something negative. As we have here, for example, a break could be a problem, but also a break could be a paradox or a dilemma or some good news. For example, a break could be that you get the news that you will be promoted in your work and you will receive a bigger salary. That could be also a break.
Okay.
So we can leave the break like an unexpected change condition. So in the constructions of breaks, we can include problems, paradox, dilemmas, good news, and a lot of more things. Okay, now it's okay, Armand, for you?
Yeah, now it's clear. Yeah.
Now it's clear. Fantastic. Now I will go to Mikhail's question. I assume that I can read the question. He says, why shall we talk about such abstractions like transparency and break in the context of Agile coaching? So, yeah, the coaching process is almost everything about abstractions. Unfortunately, yes, that's a little bit hard to understand, and that's why I try to make it simple. I keep it short and simple. But everything inside the coaching process, what, and a break like unexpected change in the regular transparency flow. Yes, we can define a break. Actually, this is just one strategy proposed by one author. So you can use whatever strategy could be work for you, and we will see a couple of examples at the end of the presentation. So this is how this author proposed to avoid these problems. In my opinion, it's quite a good strategy, but it's not a must. It's just one approach. Sometimes the use of the word break allows the people to not think in problems. That's in my opinion, that's the main strategy. So when we are talking about breaks, we are talking about just changes, unexpected change, like you perfectly defined, Mikhail. Unexpected change in the regular transparency flow. Perfect defined. So then also transparency is this is a distinction from the rational behavior. So transparency, remember that is always automatic behavior. So, and in this strategy, generally we perform coaching starting from breaks that people declare. Good. Okay, until here everybody is all right. Hopefully yes. Okay, if there is any question, just let me know. 20 minutes are away, so almost perfect time. If you want, we can do 10 minutes break, or if you want, we can continue. We have maybe something like 25 minutes more. Okay, Mikhail says I'm okay to continue. Arman?
Yeah, for me it's okay to continue.
Joanna?
So do I.
Okay.
You can continue.
Good. That sounds good. I don't know how it looks, but it sounds good. Good. Conversation design. So when we enter in the last phase, I think now we have clear what's the strategy here to avoid transparency and breaks. Now, when we try to design a coaching conversation, we need to distinguish between two main families of conversations. So then we can have harmful conversations and significant conversations. I'm also, of course, I'm following the author and direct translating from the original text. So we can consider harmful conversations those conversations that don't drive to actions, don't just justify the situation or just try to avoid the reality or just try to distract the focus, but it's not really oriented to actions. In those in that group we can find every pessimism, conversation critics, triangular complaints. Triangular complaints, for example, is when you have a problem at work and you go and complain with your wife. So you're going to a third person to talk about the problem, but you're not going to someone that can make decisions or change something. And not every negative conversation is harmful. Also, the positive conversations could be harmful also. So good wishes and just magic thinking can also be harmful because it will not drive into any kind of change or action. So the significant conversations instead will drive to strategic thinking, to have a conscience about where we are going and why. It will move us into the action. It will enable us to learn something from our experience. And the best of all, they can drive us to think innovative ideas. Okay, I have a question here from Armand. Okay, what would be a possible solution to harmful conversations to solve a problem with your job at work? Okay. Okay, it's a very good question, Armand. Thanks for saying. Okay, from the coaching approach, we will see a sample in few minutes. So yeah, it's okay. I gotcha. I understand. He clears that is with the boss. It's okay. In a couple of minutes, you will see an example. So conversation designs. When we design a conversation, we need to remember, okay, here I have some Spanish words, sorry for that. Language is action. So every time we say something that equals to an action. So the coach duties are to check if the break is valid. I have more questions in the chat. I will go there in a minute. This break is valid. What is inside your domain? What can we do about, or how can we avoid this break in the future? That's our normal duties from the coach to check when you are trying to address a break. Coaching is not a way of life without breaks. And of course, in the coaching discipline, is always said, and I like this line, that you must coach the person and not the issue. Good. We're going to see a sample. Now I will make a stop to answer questions. Okay. This question I have, good wishes is equals to manipulations. In the way I understand, no, it's not necessarily manipulations. It's just lazy thinking. But manipulations, for example, would be also a harmful conversation. We can consider that harmful conversation. Actually, when exists manipulation, you are breaking completely the process, the conversation. The conversation is totally broken. But we can still consider that harmful conversations. Okay, other question is from Armand. Okay, if there is a possible solution to harmful conversations to solve it with your boss at work. Yes, there is a way of solution for this. So let's check this sample. Maybe after this sample you can watch something. So this is the last part of the presentation, so keep straight away, don't desperate. So I want to introduce you a conversation. I think this is the best way to watch it at work, and I think it's very important to be able to see how it works, not only theory. So a team is in a retrospective celebrating great performance. That's the context. And the conversation goes like you can read in the screen. Okay, they are celebrating, we have a great velocity, and they are in completely transparency mode. So you know that Scrum is very repetitive and it's quite easy to enter in a transparency mode and to do everything automatic, and then you repeat everything even if it's not working. You keep repeating everything every time, but you need to have a break to produce a change. So then the conversation continues. Yes, but there is a couple of stories that we didn't close in 5 sprints. So they have a couple of stories never closed and 5 sprints ago. Yeah, it's true, but we can't do nothing about. Then we have a harmful conversation, pessimism. Then the coach starts to make questions. The coach interfere with the retrospective flow and say, okay, you would like to solve this? Then say, yes, of course. The manager claim it to be finished in 1 month. So they have some kind of a deadline. Then appears a break. A manager claiming that's a break. That's something that was not expected. If we could not close them in 5 sprints, we will not do that in 2 more. Then you have pessimism. Then say, okay, if we could not close it in 5, in 2 we'll not be able to close them also. Then the coach keep asking, why this is happening? Then they answered, we didn't know that this was happening until the manager claimed, and that was the break. Okay, then the coach continue working, trying to design the conversation in an action direction. Okay, what was holding you back from closing it? Then the team answer, okay, well, there was a dependency that made us deviate and work in something else. So in some point they got stuck and put it away to keep working. No, the syndrome of busyness, to keep it busy. Okay, then the conversation continues. Someone is laughing. Maybe that happened in your life. Yes, it is an external dependency. Yes, that's true. And it's out of our control. We cannot do nothing. It's not our fault. Then you have avoiding conversation. They are avoiding responsibility. They are avoiding consequence. And they are declaring that this dependency is totally out of their control. Then the coach continues challenging with questions and say, okay, what can we do to check if this can be done next week? What can we do to check it? Not just check it. Then someone says, okay, we can ask the external team. Okay, and after, okay, we can make a daily follow-up. Okay, and then the coach continue asking, okay, who will do that and when? Then some member of the team says, we can use daily scrums to check the dependency status. So I hope you can follow the story. I'm not if it was sure clear with words only, but this was the story where in a typical retrospective, the team can find a lot of language issues that can keep them away for solving the problems. And the coach interacting with questions can make them watch in different directions, and they can think on actions and not justifications or just more loss of time and energy. So as you can see in this conversation, the coach is trying to change the harmful conversations into significant ones. Then here I will make a stop, and I hope you can share your opinions.
Okay, from my point of view, is a clear example this of the use of coaching to help to find a possible solution to a problem inside the team. First of all, in this example, we saw that the coach helped the team to show something that they didn't show initially because they were doing the retrospective, and the team didn't show that they have two stories that they haven't closed during 5 sprints. Then they show, and then during the process of they doing some questions to the team, they find a way to find a possible solution to that problem. This is the way I understood this possible. Okay, maybe to my question, your answer would be, okay, a coach could help to this problem, but okay. we don't have this role.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes that's a problem. Sometimes the value of coaching is not visible. So it's so ethereum or so abstract, like Michael said, that people don't say it. But with this sample, you can see that with just a simple conversation, you can unlock a complete team. And that's a real story that happened in my experience. So there was a team with more or less this conversation, and after this conversation they could reach a hard deadline that they were really scared about, and just detecting that they have a dependency. After that retrospective, we went behind this dependency and unlock it, and that was a example I remember. So this way is I hope this answer you, Armand. Did this sample answer your question?
Yeah, it's a possible solution. Yeah, it's a clear example.
Good. Then in this sample, we can see how the questions can change the conversation. Good. And we have a question from Mikhail that is very interesting. How do you validate of a break? Validate against what? Good. It's a very good question. Actually, it's an incomplete content here in the presentation. So first of all, it's very important to identify that the break is declared by the person, not by the coach. So a break could be identified by the coach, but not expressed. So the break is always declared by the person or by the team. And the break is valid when it's ready to be actioned. So if the break is not actionable, then it's still not valid. And then you need to check if you can find a root cause. So a break can be caused by another break. Then when you find that the break is not valid, what normally you should do is to search what's the break that is causing this invalid break. And in some ways, like a root cause search is comparable to a root cause search process until you find a break that is actionable. Of course, always the target here are the actions. Otherwise, you fall in the trap to remain on the words. Okay, any other questions? I think that was a strike. Any other comments, opinions? Do you want to try to design a conversation with me? Do you have maybe a personal case you want to share or you want to analyze with us together? Yes, I know. Time to digest required. Great. Then okay. Let me check if there is something to review. I think it's okay. Well, don't worry if you don't remember now. We can keep in touch and discuss this during the week or in next webinar. We can also extend the topic. We can review it. Yeah, these topics are really abstract. Maybe you need to think about that and check out in your real world if you find some samples. So, and then I will invite you to exchange feedback. So please be kind to provide feedback. What did you like about this webinar?
Can I do a question? Maybe it's a bit abstract question or
Okay.
a bit difficult, but can I, for
Yes.
example, how could, if you can provide some sample or a possible solution from the coach changing a harmful conversation to an action, to an action.
So you want a sample?
Yeah.
Can you provide a
The
case?
context.
Yeah, a context, for example. Yeah.
I don't know. It can be maybe, for example, the team is asking for an action to be done for their boss, and he's not doing nothing about it because maybe is not interested or something like that. And they are like having harmful conversations all the time because the boss is not doing nothing. Then
Okay, interesting. And the boss is the only one person that can do something about?
No, maybe there are other managers or people, but it's imagine the person who is in charge of maybe.
Okay, and did you try to approach with the other managers?
In this case, what I was thinking, no. The example in the context, I was thinking that no.
And why do you think that this manager don't take action?
Well, because we can see that the problem is it continuous and nothing it's done. No? Well, I cannot provide a concrete now sample.
No, it's okay, but it looks like real, so it's good enough.
Maybe it's the perception that the team has that the manager is not doing nothing, and maybe is doing, but they don't see nothing. Their perception, nothing.
And which is the cost of this situation to not be solved? Which is the cost for the team, and which is the cost for the company?
I think that the team feels unmotivated and feels uncomfortable with this situation because they cannot do their work properly and what they want to.
Okay.
It's their perception from.
Okay. I think in this case we are into an invalid break, so we need to search for the real cause. So, what do you think is the origin of this problem?
I don't know. I was thinking in an hypothetic. I was thinking in an hypothetic case, but okay. I imagine that you are providing me the sample, and what would continue would be a conversation to try to find out the root break of the cause of the problem and try to take an action on this initial root break.
Okay. And what can we try to do about that next week?
I don't know. I was only providing a.
It's okay. Exactly that. But as you provide the sample, also I was expecting that you continue with maybe the hypothetical situation. It's okay. But okay, I think I provide you some sample of questions how to avoid. So we have one more question. Did you got an answer, Armand?
I got a possible way of find the solution.
Yeah, of course. Good. Then that's positive. Thank you. And by the way, harmful conversation sounds negatively, but sometimes it is healthy for the people and project, and sometimes it is required, I think. Yes, in this case, yeah, that's a problem. Language is always tricky. And that's the problem with the names. The names are always confusing. And not only coaching, also Agile, also Scrum, Product Owner, Scrum Master. Every name is confusing. And it's quite easy to get confused. I think in this case, we're confusing harmful conversations with aggressive conversations or offensive. Think that harmful is a nickname for these conversations, for this group of conversations. But we can change the name for a moment just to check that it's only a name. we can call them something simple. We can call them neutral conversations, neutral conversations, for example. And then we can say, okay, these are conversations that just goes nowhere. And of course, in every relation, there is good and bad things. There is nice and ugly things. And that's why the retrospectives became so important for people to have free speech, so they can really express things how they concern. When there is some topics that are forbidden, or for example, everything you can say can be used against you, when you live in these places where you cannot freely say what you think, then everybody's losing. So it's not that someone takes control over population and drives the project. No, everybody's losing when we lose the speech freedom. So I think a manager or a good leadership would be the first interested on knowing what people really honestly think. That would be a really healthy environment. I think other environments I would strongly recommend to not apply to a job. So I think we are done. What can we improve to this webinar?
For me, it was nice. I think you provided a nice example of the application of coaching, and it was okay. Maybe in the previous presentation I saw in Spanish there was not a clear example, but in this one today I saw it.
Yeah, there was improvements.
Maybe provide some personal experience if you want to share something about applying to this, maybe, but for the rest, for me, it was okay.
Okay.
It was nice.
Okay.
Daniel, I think that a few more practical examples would improve your sessions.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. One example is not enough, really.
Yeah, I only put one example. Yeah, more examples. I agree that helps the people a lot more to catch the ideas. Okay. Something more to improve? Did you get value from this webinar? You can be honest.
Yes.
You can say no.
Yes.
Okay, good.
It was quite interesting.
Well, thank you. Okay. Then we keep improving and we keep it up. Thanks everybody. Thanks Arman, Joanna, Mikhail for joining and sharing this space. And thanks Ileana for observing.
Thank you.
So I think this is the end. Of course, next week we will have another one. I think the next topic is coaching conversations, and I hope to see you again online.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Have a nice day and a nice week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.